Hi, this is Brennan Davis from Bedrock Games and the Bedrock blog, and I'm here with Adam Balderstone for another episode of Bedrock and Balderstone. And today, we've been talking about that TV series based on the 11th Son, and Adam and I decided we didn't really want to plow through the rest of the series. We weren't quite enjoying ourselves, so instead, we watched Swordsman and the Enchantress, and we're going to talk about that. And so this is a 1978 film by Cho Yuen. It's also based on the 11th Son, and it's a slightly darker take, I think, than the TV show. We will probably do some comparing and contrasting during this discussion, but it does, I think. I mean, it changes a lot of things for sure, but I think it actually does a pretty good job of getting all of the content in the book in there, with a few exceptions. And there's also some details that I think are innovations on the part of Cho Yuen, but I can't be 100% sure because there is a sequel to the book which has never been translated into English, and it's possible some of those are developments in the sequel that I just don't know about. So again, the movie is by Cho Yuen. It stars Ti Lung and Lao Wing, who we can recognize from our previous movie Bloody Parrot, and also from Human Lanterns. Our favorite character ever. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just agreeing. Yeah.
And so there's Ching Li playing Lian, and we also have Candy Wen playing Little Lord, and Lily Lily actually plays Lady Fung, which is interesting because I completely forgot that was her in this role. I remembered a different actress, and I think it's because it's a slightly unusual role for Lily Lily. So she's usually much tougher than this kind of a character. So
yeah.
So what did you think of the movie? Number one, what was your response to this one?
I really liked it. I have reservations here and there that I'll get into, but no, I mean, it starts off very frantically. It's like it's just packing so many things in early on that, I mean, I was enjoying it, but I was a little out of breath trying to keep up with everything that was going on. I mean, it kind of helped that I'd seen some of the TV series. So I'm like, well, at least I know the characters, and I know I had, I mean, it's not really the same as what happened in the TV series, but at least I had something to hang on to. It's like that early part would have been even more confusing if I didn't have anything to go on to. Then it really slows down into the middle and turns into this very mature kind of love story to an extent. I feel like it's very well done and very well grounded, and I was really pulled into that. And then in the last third, it goes back into this really weird area again, yeah. I'm not entirely sure about how I felt about how it ended, but it's definitely entertaining all the way through.
Yeah, in the book, a lot of that stuff does happen, but it's a smoother transition. Do you know what I mean? It just sort of makes more sense over the course of the book.
Of course,
I feel like they really crammed as much of the book as they could into the movie, and they added some things I don't remember there ever be, they mentioned Mei Chao Fung. In fact, the actress who played Mei Chao Fung from Brave Archer plays the character who mentions Mei Chao Fung when they're initially trying to take the Deer Carver blade. The two zombie characters, that was the woman who played Mei Chao Fung, and then they used the claw technique, and they said that it was the technique that allowed Mei Chao Fung to rule the martial world. I thought that
was her. Yeah, I wasn't 100% sure it was the same person, but I clarified that.
But that's a different franchise. Mei Chao Fung is Condor Heroes. That's a whole other author. That's not Gulag. I don't recall there being that crossover in the 11th Son, but the 11th Son that I have does do a lot of things where they translate people's names into the flowery description of the name. So it's possible that it was mentioned and I didn't realize it. But it was striking to me that it occurred in this movie. I hadn't noticed that before. I also had not noticed it was the same actress. That was I thought a pretty interesting little detail.
This was made before Brave Archer, right?
I think wasn't Archer 77? Let me check that.
No, you're right. I got my years wrong. Yeah.
I do want to double check it though, just in case, because 77.
Yeah. So okay, so that's interesting there.
But she's only in 3 or 4 movies, but I love this lady. When she plays Mei Chao Fung, she just does a marvelous job. And the way that she just commits to all the movements as the zombie was, I thought, really good.
Yes. Like I said, at that point in the movie, things were really confusing. But like I said, everything is just so well done that I really, really, I really enjoyed it, even when I was kind of lost.
That part at the end happens in the book where they think they're inside the dollhouse or inside the miniature house.
It does. Okay.
It's a really big part of the book. And it does kind of come out of nowhere. It sort of surprises you. And I remember really enjoying it and also thinking like this book feels like the author was drinking a lot as they were writing. I mean, in a good way. Like, you know, like sometimes like you can feel the beneficial effects of alcohol on a novel. That's what The 11th Son felt like to me.
No, it's interesting that it goes there and then it turns out not to be real. That's the really weird thing. It's like I'm like, okay, I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I'll accept this weird doll table that they're all on now. And it's like, wait, no, you were messing with me. What the heck? It's it was kind of harder coming back out than going in with that.
And I had the same experience with the book. In the book, it's a similar type of thing. But I think it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting deception for a villain to pull on people. To painstakingly create this scaled miniature villa with the intent of convincing people that they've been turned into dolls that awaken when the moon is full for 15 days.
I know that detail too, just especially capped it. But I mean, it was interesting watching this a few days apart from Bloody Parrot too. 'Cause totally, they're very different, but they're both movies where you spend, you know, there's so much going on in them at times. It's a little confusing that ultimately end with these big villainous plots that are so convoluted and crazy. I'm like, did that make sense? I'm not sure if that made sense.
The ending they really tweaked, as I recall. Like that, the whole thing, and again, this could be in the sequel that I don't know about. This is one of the reasons why I was so desperate to read the sequel, because when I saw this movie, I was like, wait a second, is Leon like really the daughter of the bad guy? And she's gonna be like, oh my god, I want to find out. But in the first book, at least, there's no indication of that at all. So I think they just invented it. Again, unless it's a later detail that's revealed in the second book. But what did you think of that? Like, there were a lot of twists in the end, but what did you think of the twists and the villain that we finally got? The guy who made the sword was the one who masterminded this whole thing.
Like I said, I kind of rolled with it because I was enjoying the movie enough, but I have no idea what his plan was there. I mean, what was all of that? I mean, how did any of that help him rule the boxers world, as it was called in the subtitles of this movie? Yeah, I just didn't understand his plot at all. But,
I think he was trying to like recruit and destroy any potential rivals, but it was really unclear, and it was a really elaborate. So apparently, Shen Bijun is I'm sorry, I called her Lian a moment ago. Shen Bijun is she's been married to Lian under false pretenses because she's really this guy's daughter. And she was also wooing Zhao under false pretenses because she was this guy's daughter, and he was masterminding this big scheme that required it. It's a very elaborate ploy, but the thing I like about this villain is I think he's just mad. I think he's just crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of my take.
In fact, wasn't there a moment where he's standing there and his hair is all wild and he says something to the effect of like, "I'm not crazy." Like there's precedent for this sort of behavior. It was.
I mean that's the best way I think to take this movie is that this plan makes no sense, but he's just utterly bafflingly insane. Is I think the best way to go with it. And that works for me. I'm fine with that. I can accept that as an ending.
Yeah, because he kills his own daughter, And then he talks about how rulers have been overthrown by their sons before, so it's and he's just crazed.
Legal precedent. It's okay that I did it.
but here's what I will say. I think that even though I think it's something that they added to the story, and it's really dizzying at the end, I feel like it does give the movie a lot more emotional weight in the final moments. Do you know what I mean? Because there's all these emotions circulating in the room with, Zhao is deeply in love with this woman. Lian is in love with her, but he's also concerned about his reputation and how that's being impacted. And so they're part of this love triangle. But then when she dies, it resolves the love triangle in an interesting way where these guys are, well, number one, they've been fighting side by side here for a while anyways, but it kind of unifies them. Do you know what I mean? And it just, I don't know, it just is it's like
and there was always a certain respect. I mean, they're always finding an excuse not to kill each other throughout the movie. It's like, oh, well, you're wounded, I can't kill you, even though or your heart's broken, I can't kill you. And I really liked that. That was just that was great. That was fantastic stuff there.
Now, what did you think of this version of Zhao Shi Long versus the one that we got in the TV show?
Of the character Zhao, or the whole show you're talking about? The character. The character, very, much better in this movie. I mean, it's not even the same character to an extent. I mean, for example, looking at his relationship with Shen Bijun, it's, in the show, it's like, oh, wow, she's really cute, I'm really into her, yeah. And it's just, there's no real emotion I felt watching the show underneath anything he was feeling. He was just like, wow, and there was nothing back from her at all. I mean, like Shen Bijun was my least interesting character in the TV series. As I repeatedly said, I didn't feel I got anything back from her that she was in any way interested in Zhao. So that was another part the relationship wasn't working. Whereas in this, they both felt like very, in the TV show, it was very adolescent. It was very infatuation. I've got this infatuation. Whereas in the movie, it was just very, very restrained. They clearly had these very deep feelings for each other that they don't want to express. Yeah. And I mean, T. Lung is a master of doing that kind of thing. So, they could not have come up with better casting in that respect. And I mean,
there's this like masculine restrained longing in his eyes that is just like you can sense it. I think, and it's a lot like the book. The book is very similar, and I think that's the missing piece in the show. The show, I was thinking about it while I was watching it, watching the movie today. The big thing about the show that feels different from the movie here and from how I imagine it in the book is, in the movie, I feel like everybody involved is an adult. And I feel like in the show, it felt like everybody, like you said, is adolescent.
Is an adolescent, yeah. Which works if you're doing Condor Heroes or something. Like I said, I enjoyed the 2017, I think, Condor Heroes series has a similar aged cast for the leads, but that works in that because they are all young.
They're pretty
people,
young,
but, yeah. It's like it didn't bother me much, but
I mean, like, Fung is supposed to be in her 30s. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's the actors felt a little bit more suited to the roles. Like, you could almost have that other actor saying the stuff that T. Lung was saying, but it was just delivered so differently. Like when T. Lung says the boxer's world is full of nonsense. Do you know what I mean? That had a lot of weight to it, the way he said it, and
it did. He's an experienced guy. He's someone he has a jadedness about the whole scene. It's just that wouldn't come across for the other character. And talk about Fung too. It's like you say, one of the parts of her characters who's been married many times. It's like, I really enjoyed the performance in the TV show, the character of the whoever was playing Fung. I'm sorry, I don't have her name at hand, but I thought I really enjoyed her performance, but I can't really buy her as someone that's been married time and time and time again. It doesn't know.
And in the book, I don't think she was married. I think that's something they added to the movie maybe to make her. It made her romances more okay. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I couldn't buy her as someone who'd had, was this
But
jaded person who'd had so many different romances. I mean, no, it doesn't read that way. But then I
I did have
married her.
to like her nickname in this too. Man Junkie was the
Man Junkie. Yeah, that was an interesting translation.
wh-
I
what did you think of Little Lord? Because we didn't get to see him yet in the show. Maybe the whole show
We
is
did see Little
salvage.
Lord in the show.
Did we? Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the last episode we did. In the end, Little Lord shows up.
Okay, okay. So, well, I guess that's a moment to contrast with this Little Lord. What did you think of the Little Lord character here?
Little Lord was great in this. I don't know that I've seen her in anything else, but she was
That's
just standout in
that's
this.
Candy Yuen. We've probably there's definitely been movies that you've seen her in, but she can slip under the radar. So,
Yeah,
um,
but no, she was very good in this. And I mean that's the thing though. She showed up in the TV series, but I didn't know she actually was a woman. It's like it's the classic thing in these wuxia series. You never know, because they're being Little Lord too. It's like, okay, is this a case where they're casting a girl as a
yeah,
boy to make it a boy, or is this a case where it's a girl playing a pretending to be a boy within the world? Because you
yeah.
have both of those things within wuxia movies, so it's always ambiguous until the reveal. So
No, Candy Yuen was a really good choice for the role because in the book, Little Lord is described first as an effeminate man and then as a boy. So Zhao mistakes him for a boy, and then he realizes that it's a woman, and
yeah.
and so it's kind of cleverly done. And she can sort of do all that. Like when she dressed up as a boy, it looked like it was probably one of the most plausible, like female actress putting on a hat and looking like a male in a movie like this that I've seen. Usually, it's pretty not easily believed, but she could
It
actually
works.
sort of cloak it a little bit, and I thought that also she just had the attitude of the character. The character's
Yes.
got a certain
Yeah.
edge to it that's uncomfortable to like usually bad guys are really bad, but Little Lord is particularly vicious,
hmm
and I thought she did a good job with it.
Yeah, it's a very playful kind of evil that
Mm.
is it's and and she nailed that. Yeah, I actually haven't seen any other movie she's been in, by the way. I just kind of pulled it up on the Hong Kong movie
Oh,
database, and
okay.
you've reviewed some of them, but there have always been weeks when I've missed the movie. Oh wait, she's in
Oh,
Holy Flame of the Martial World, which I have seen. So Snake Boy, okay, got it. Yeah, I
yeah.
have seen her in something.
Okay, that's not a particularly large role, if I recall.
No,
Um, she played
no.
she played the quarreling wife in Lover's Blade. That's a great movie. Uh, one of these days we'll have to do that one.
Right.
But but yeah, so I don't know anything else about this movie stick out at you? Anything that you thought was different from the show or
Uh, let's see. There's a large question
yeah
there. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I mean, it's one of those things where I feel like watching it again because the whole reveal on Shen Bijun, having been kind of this plant the whole time, that's a very late movie reveal to have like, oh, this character was doing something different than you thought. But I think it'll probably work well either way because, you know, even before you, even without that situation, you think she's someone who's got a husband, so she's reluctant,
yeah
in the love affair. But it also you can also read it as well. She really has fallen in love with this guy, but she's this secret agent, kind of working here in the scene. So I think that will work fine either way. But I'd need to watch it again to be sure.
yeah. I think the scenes where it's the toughest to buy is when Little Lord and her are interacting earlier in the
Yeah,
movie.
I was wondering about
But
that. But
but they could have just been feigning. You know what I mean? But it is pretty.
yes,
Uh, I don't know.
it
It's a little, it felt in a lot of ways that twist did feel kind of tacked on, but I felt like it did
yeah.
give it the emotional punch. That the movie needed at the end. So I don't
It
know.
did have a good emotional punch at the end. I mean, T Lung's final thing about going back and the flower and everything, and it carried a lot of weight. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, I really, like I said, the twist. I was kind of like, I don't know if I buy the twist, but T Lung is just such a good actor that he landed that final emotional beat of the movie,
Yeah.
even even if the plot kind of undermined it a little bit. So it still worked.
Yeah, no, he's really good in those kind of moments. That like you see it especially in a movie like did we do Opium and the Kung Fu Master or did we
We
not?
did,
Okay, yeah.
yes.
So you see it in a movie like that for sure. Just that when sort of there's just like he just gives like these really intense looks that
Yeah.
was the perfect response to her reveal of the actual situation. But it was also moving too because she did die and she did uh, like it was reciprocated love. It wasn't like she was totally deceiving him, and
No,
so
no, it's a complicated situation, and I mean, and it's I mean, it's not, the deception she was making, it wasn't a deception to kill him or anything. It was a deception to try and recruit him to her crazy father's or plan, whatever
yeah,
it was. So, it's, it doesn't completely undermine her character because she is in a very compromised position there, having to choose between her father and this. So, yeah,
yeah.
it mainly holds together for me, but I'd really like to watch it again.
I like the I like how sympathetically it deals with Liansheng too. Like the it's the same in the book, but I just feel
Yeah,
like that character. The easy thing would be to make that character really unlikable or like
yeah,
secretly really evil and twisted. Like something that makes the romance between Ti Lung and Shen Jun more palatable. But they sort of present him as this character who yeah, he's also sort of struggling with the facade he has to keep for the martial world. Like it's like this, like early in the film, I think he says, I think he says to Zhao, you can't just do anything you want in the martial world. You have, we're not allowed to just do what we want. And it's clear when he says that there are things he wants to do that he can't do. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yes,
and so that's one of the things I like about the character. You get this real sense that he's restraining himself as well, and it kind of reminded me in an odd way of the Andy Lau character from House of Flying Daggers. I don't know if you did you were you there for
yeah,
that one?
yeah. I have seen that. I wasn't on that podcast too.
Yeah, sort of like he's just been kind of like bottling all this up for so long, and then um,
Yeah, that's a good comparison.
there was also
I
interestingly, I really want to check the notes, but there's a song that T Lung is singing when he's drunk, and it sounds just like the Beauty song from House of Flying Daggers to my ears. Like the lyrics are definitely different, I believe, but the
Huh.
melody sounded very very different, very similar. Um,
Yeah, yeah. No, that would be interesting to check out. But yeah,
it could just be coincidence, I didn't like do a deep dive into it and say like, oh, do the notes line up? Just off the top of my head, I was like, oh, those intervals sound pretty similar to me. So
yeah, but yeah, I don't think the TV series ever could have picked up the emotional weight that this did based on the way they handled the characters. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it grows over time, but I do feel having the characters starting as these already experienced people of the world
makes a
makes a
difference.
big yeah. And like I said, I never bought the whole relationship between Zhao and Jen Bijun wasn't for me at all in that TV series. And having watched this movie and gotten a bigger sense of the story to some extent, I'm like, yeah, that series was not going to work for me. No way.
Yeah, no, I think this was a better idea. I think this was a much more. It was a much better encapsulation of the book too. Because my big concern with the show is, I was like, I think that the story is going to get lost over 50 episodes because the book
Yeah,
itself is not that long. So I think that I think that the movie is actually again the movie takes liberties, but I think it kind of encapsulates the essence of the book a little bit. Um,
yeah.
And Chou Yuen is
Yeah.
sort of the master of, putting Gulong on screen. Though admittedly, a lot of people do complain that his Gulong movies are a bit confusing. And I think this is probably the most exemplary version of that. Like, this is definitely a movie. If you're really worried about following the plot threads, you might be a little uncomfortable for the first 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, but it's worth riding through. And I mean, I really respect the way the movie does slow down to spend the time building up the relationship during that period where they're just hiding out at his house for a couple of days. I mean, that the movie would not have worked without that. I don't think it would have. I mean, it would have worked, but it would have just been this flippant kind of, oh, that was. I mean, I don't know, because it's this. I don't know what the term for it would be, but it would have worked in just being kind of over the top and full of all this stuff going on all the time. But it wouldn't have had any of the emotional weight without taking that time.
No, I definitely agree, and I think I think that middle section there was really important to the movie, and also they had a lot of chemistry too. I think that
Very much
Ching
so.
Li and T Lung.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was Ching Li, but I do want to. Yeah, it was Ching Li, but it was sort of an interesting shift in pacing too, because you really do go from like, this is like bang bang bang, combat, and then
Yes.
just this lull where this development occurs between the characters, and it's kind of relaxing when it happens, because it's like you can feel it slowing
is.
down.
Yeah, the direction in this movie is very good. I mean, just the whole atmosphere that's kind of conveyed during that part of the movie really worked for me.
There's that shot when T Lung goes out and sees Fung, like sunbathing after he's been injured, and the way the
Yes.
camera is I never noticed it, because it's kind of you're kind of distracted by all the other stuff going on in the scene, but the camera work is so good in that scene.
Yes.
And Chou Yuen I really wish. The ones that are available on Prime from him are mainly his later movies, which are all really good. But when you see his earlier films, when things are like much larger in the frame, I feel like you get a much better sense of his directorial talent. It just is. I don't know why. I just feel like something about the movies that he has where the characters are bigger on the screen, literally, tend to they just something. It really works with his visual style. And the two that I would point to are Intimate Confessions of a Chinese Courtesan and Duel for Gold. Those are two really. Duel for Gold is particularly early, but they're really good examples of his work that I don't think are available on Prime, unfortunately. But he is a really good director, and so we'll be back on middle of the week, right, for Farscape. We took a week off, so we're gonna catch up, and
we'll be back on Farscape this Wednesday. Yes,
and then on Friday, I can't remember which movie we're doing, but we will be doing another movie for Wuxia Weekend. I believe it's Have Sword Will Travel, but I'm not 100% sure. And I know at some point during the week, me and Joel are supposed to do 36 Chamber Shaolin. So we'll be doing all kinds of stuff this week. And all right, I guess it's time for us to head out. I have a Jin Yong book to read. I just got a translation of the second volume of Legend of Condor Heroes in the mail, so I'm gonna read a new translation of that, and I'll probably have a review as well. And we'll talk to you later.